Hello and welcome. This is the Abbreviated West Virginia University Football Podcast at earsports.com. It's a Paramount product. So am I, Mike Sazza, here to take you through three topics on the tip of our tongue related to WVU football. And before we get going, I just want to ask how you're doing. I know it's not fun being 1-2 in September. You don't like to lose. You certainly don't like to lose to your rival. And boy, lose to your rival the way the Mountaineers managed on Saturday night, nothing's good. And I just sense a lot of people are ready to throw their hands up and get along with their autumn. Maybe there's some apple picking, pumpkin patches, weddings, I don't know, diversions that are less painful or more enjoyable than a Saturday afternoon with the Mountaineers so far this season. But I always wonder about those folks because they look forward to the season for so long. To pull the cord and just bail so soon, like, what are you going to do with yourself? How we fill those Saturdays in the fall? I say, hey, what's up your sleeve? What do you got planned? They say, you know what I got planned? Podcast about the Mountaineers. Three topics. One starts with the W, one starts with the V, one starts with the U. And away we go. The W today stands for who? That is the big question right now. Who's getting fired? Who's getting demoted? Who's going to get a starting job or more playing time and at whose expense? Right now, as far as we know, no one's getting fired. Neil Brown not going anywhere. Even in your darkest moments where you're most down about the team, you knew that was the case. Maybe you weren't so sure about defensive coordinator Jordan Leslie and or co-defensive coordinator, secondary coach. That means corners and safety. Shadon Brown, no changes. So Brown at his weekly news conference on Monday, well, he never mentioned either one of those individuals as people who were on the firing line, so to speak. Jordan Leslie came out, did his regular news conference, which is what the coordinators do on those Mondays. Did not see Shadon Brown. We'll have our binoculars out. We figure he's still on the team. We haven't heard otherwise. No news drop, no press release, not even rumblings right now. Things are probably changing behind the scenes, maybe in the operation of the coaching staff, subtly or more significantly. Hopefully, we'll find out more during the week. But again, we'll see during the game how the sideline functions. Who's calling plays? Who's working with corners and safeties? Is there somebody that we have not seen as involved as what we observe and report on Saturday? Time will tell. Progress might be secret, but progress might also be apparent. But keep our eyes peeled there. What about players? Well, Neil Brown, he kind of pointed at a couple. He was also very careful not to throw people under the bus for certain situations. For example, putting players in bad spots. He says that there's some play calls that some people on the field just can't handle, and they're going to have to cure that with their review and their preparation for the upcoming game. The people he would mention, not the people who need to be off the field in certain situations, the people that he did mention are the folks who could be on the field that you might not be accustomed to seeing. And we're talking mostly about cornerbacks right now. Keep your eye on TJ Crandall, Jacoby Spells, and maybe Keon Washington. We'll see. Crandall, sophomore, transfer from Colorado State, played 4 snaps last week against Pitt. But fast, athletic, he can really run. West Virginia's defensive backs have had to do more running than they probably care to admit. He deserves a chance to see what happens. Is he great? Don't know, but that's the point. West Virginia thinks he has the chance to answer the unknown about him, and you just adapt from what you get going forward. Jacoby Spells, West Virginia knows a little bit more about him. Remember the pick 6 against Virginia Tech a couple years ago? You also know he was hurt in the spring. Back now, right about 100%, able to take more snaps. What's curious, though, is he did not play against Pitt. He played against Albany. Progress. Again, the unknown, you get out of the way here. Can he play? Can he handle a lot of snaps? And Washington, true freshman, impressive early, had an incident like a setback minor in the preseason. Neil Brown said he's also been sick, so just not up to speed yet. They think he can help this year. Does he play 4 games? Does he play more than 4 games? Probably want to redshirt him, but such is the state of affairs right now. The V stands for volatility. What vexes most about this, what's most vexing about this team to Neil Brown is that it's not very consistent on defense. And even if you don't like what the Mountaineers are putting out there, you could have watched the first couple of games, even Saturdays against Pitt, and seen stretches where the defense was good. You can also find situations where something worked and was used later on and it did not work. For example, and this will have people talking, Jordan Leslie talking about the 2nd and 30 touchdown pass late in Pitt's comeback. That really made things interesting, perhaps needlessly so. 2nd and 30, how do you end up in the end zone? How do you catch the ball with 3 people around you? Why are there so many people deep? Well, Leslie said that the plan there was to make sure they didn't drop the ball off to the running back, Desmond Reed, and let him scatter through the defense and get more yardage and set up a 3rd and manageable, maybe even break some tackles for a 1st down. That play worked earlier in the game for the defense as an adjustment or as a call after a short catch and a long run by Reed. So in between that play by Reed and the one they were worried about, Leslie said the defense did its job with that play call in similar situations. when they needed to trust it, they couldn't. And you can look at certain situations, down and distances, spots in the field, player performances individually, where someone has done something well or something has worked as hoped, as called in the field, and then it just doesn't happen, sometimes in disastrous fashion. Mountaineers thought they had a handle on this team in the preseason, thought they knew who they could trust, thought they knew what packages they could use and what personnel, what calls they could lean on in certain situations. Sometimes it works. Far too often it does not. Hard to be a play caller when you don't know what you're going to get out of what you know is the right call for that situation. Does that absolve the coaches from the problems here? Absolutely not. But it does make things difficult when they can't rely on their players to do what they've been known to do, what the coaches have witnessed them do in practice before. Uneven performances, good stretches of play in all three games, but also some really low moments and more than you're comfortable seeing, whether you are a coach or a player, a fan or a reporter. That bugs Neil Brown the most. Can they get more consistent? Well, they have to, right? But how do they? When will they? Find out Saturday. And the U here stands for unwavering. And that is probably not the approach you wanted the Mountaineers to take if you were looking for change or wanted some sort of explanation or accountability out of the defensive performance, especially late. Again, consistency here, but especially late in the Pitt game. Not going to get that from the Mountaineers. They really believe that they just have to go out and practice what they were doing and get better at it. Wheel might not be reinvented here. Coaching staff not going to be reorganized, or at least the reorganization will not be publicly disclosed. And coach after coach, player after player on the defensive side here, that would be Neil Brown, that would be Jordan Leslie, that would be TJ Jackson. That would be the general message of probably the entire locker room on that side right now, is you go to practice, you work on what you've been working on, and you get better at it. Last week, Jordan Leslie said it was small things. They were not going to panic. The sky wasn't falling. And then that happened. It wasn't better, even though they had played 2 games and practiced for a third. Third game did not produce better results. The plan now is to practice for the 4th game and do what you did in the first 2 or 3 games that were good. Do what you did that wasn't good and get better at it, and be a more polished and refined product in the 4th. Unwavering. Again, they really lean on the fact that they are consistent, that the small patches of good play, they can be expanded, and there will be fewer grease fires in the kitchen, secondary in particular, and the Mountaineers can actually hide behind their offense a little bit and use that side of the ball to help the defense, which needs as much help as it can get right now. Will that do the trick? Is a victory on the table? Unknown until Saturday at Mountaineer Field. A pair of 1 and 2 teams, Kansas, West Virginia. Someone's going to get out with a win. We will see who has changed their season at the expense of the other.